Mtazamaji, ni Alhamisi tarehe 13 mwezi Oktoba mwaka wa 2022. Mahali popote ambapo ulipo, hujambo na karibu katika Mwanzo Habari. Mimi naitwa Victor Wanaswa. Tumekuandalia mengi ikiwemo mahojiano ambayo tutakuwa tunayafanya kuhusiana na agenda ya wanawake nchini Kenya, ila hayo ni ya baadaye. Kwa sasa mtazamaji, hebu tuanze na taarifa ambayo tumeweza kuipa kipaumbele. Na mawakala wa kusafirisha wafanyikazi wa Rabuni nchini Kenya wamemkosoa vikali katibu mkuu wa muungano wa wafanyikazi Atwoli kutokana na matamshi yake baada ya video ya msichana akinyonyesha umbwa wa Rabuni kusambazwa mitandaoni. Mawakala hao wamesema kuwa video hiyo ilisambazwa mitandaoni ili kuwachafulia jina na kwamba ilikuwa kosa kwa Atwoli kudai kuwa leseni za mawakala hao yanafaa kufutiliwa mbali na biashara zao kufungwa.
Mbwa au watoto wa mbwa ambao walikuwa wamezaliwa katika nchi ya Saudi Arabia. Tunasema kama mawakala tunakubali fika kwamba yapo matatizo ambayo yanajitokeza katika nchi za Saudia, lakini sisi tupo mstari wa mbele kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale tuliowasafirisha kulingana na sheria, wanapokuwa wanatupigia simu na matatizo, huwa tunashirikiana nao kuweza kutatua matatizo. Kwa hivyo tunatoa challenge, na kila siku tunatoa challenge kwamba ikiwa yupo yoyote ambaye amesafirishwa na accredited agency na anapitia matatizo kupitia nyinyi vyombo vya habari, tupigieni simu sisi viongozi mawakala na tutaweza kutatua hayo matatizo yapo.
Mara nyingi tunapata kesi ambazo zinaletwa katika ofisi zetu ambazo tunafuatilia, na mara nyingi tunafuatilia na wale wakala ama agencies ambazo ziko hapa. I want to put it clear kwamba we have a good working relationship with some of the agencies. Majority of them who are registered are usually complying kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunaweza kuwasaidia Wakenya wakiwa na shida katika nchi ya Saudia. Na leo tumegadhabishwa sana na kuona filamu ile ambayo ilirushwa katika social media ya msichana ambayo alikuwa ananyonyesha puppies. We also confirm kwamba kweli ile picha iliyotumwa pale ilikuwa ni picha ambayo ilitolewa katika mitandao ya pornography, and we are really concerned as much as we are having many issues in Saudi Arabia. Tuna concern yetu ni kubwa, kwa nini mtu atoe picha ya katika mikanda ya pornography na kuifanya iwe ni mkanda wa mtu ambayo ana shida katika nchi ya Saudia.
With the private recruitment agencies, we are saddened by the issues that are emerging in Saudi Arabia, accuses the social media responsible for slandering, and would like the government to investigate on the disturbing video that was released last week, circulated around social media services, which was concluded to have come from a distressed house girl breastfeeding a dog in Saudi Arabia. This was a cheap talk, and this was a malicious statement. It was not a good statement at all, because it could have been verified. It could have been done a thoroughly investigation so that to be aired. So the video appears to be edited and evidently fake proven from its original site, but strongly oppose the statement of banning the operations, since they are certain that none of these arising issues involves ethical recruitment, and urge the government to make thoroughly investigations on the case.
Mbele mtazamaji, na Rais William Ruto ametoa amri ya kuwapa majukumu maalum kwa wizara na idara za kitaifa. Katika amri aliyotia saini leo hii, Rais ameorodhesha jinsi serikali yake itakavyoongozwa, kuanzia kwa afisi yake, mkuu wa utumishi wa umma, wizara na makatibu wa kudumu. Awali Rais alikutana na mabalozi walioteuliwa kuwakilisha mataifa ya Turkey, Italy, India na Ufaransa katika ikulu ya Nairobi. Na mtazamaji, sasa hebu tuelekee nchini Rwanda. Na naibu wa rais wa Kenya Rigathi Gachagua ametoa changamoto kwa vijana kukumbatia swala la uongozi ili kupiga jeki maendeleo ya kiuchumi barani Afrika. Akizungumza katika mkutano wa Youth Connect ambayo inaendelea nchini Rwanda, Gachagua amesema vijana wanafaa kuwa katika mstari wa mbele katika kusukuma mbele maendeleo ya Afrika.
And an enjoyable stay in Rwanda. We are looking forward to even more productive summit together to overcome division, provide justice, and build prosperity.
You have the energy. You have the motivation. All that remains is for you to occupy your space and do what must be done. We told our young people to take over leadership in all spheres of life. I'm challenging you, the youth of Africa. When you go back home, take leadership positions in your countries. Get into government. Get into your parliament.
Turejee nchini Kenya katika eneo la Pwani. Na kundi la wanaharakati kutoka Pwani ya Kenya limejitokeza na kumtetea aliyekuwa mbunge wa Malindi Aisha Juma kufuatia kuteuliwa kwake kama katika baraza la mawaziri. Juma amekuwa akitiliwa shaka hasa na viongozi wa muungano wa Azimio ya iwapo anafaa kuwa waziri wa jinsia na huduma za umma.
Kumzia ni kuhusu huyu ndugu yetu Aisha Juma. Tunataka kuambia hawa watu wanamkajeli Aisha Juma wawachane na Aisha Juma, kwa sababu Aisha Juma si wao ndio waliompa hicho cheo, wala si wao ndio waliotaka apate hicho cheo. Hichi cheo amepana kwa ajili ya Mwenyezi Mungu na sababu zake, na ni mwanamke wa kweli kweli. Sisi tunamjua Aisha Juma vizuri sana. Wale ambao hawamjua Aisha Juma watasema vile wanataka, na kama wanasema Aisha Juma ana kesi ya kuua, wacha koti iamue. Sasa hivi wanaleta maneno yao. Tunawaambia kwa sauti moja, wafanye heshima na Aisha Juma na watu wa Pwani wote kwa jumla.
Sisi wa Pwani tunataka haki zetu, na hatutakubali kiongozi yoyote wetu wa Pwani mumletee nyokonyoko. Sisi tumechoka kuonewa. Sasa tumeamua tutawafuata huko juu.
Mimi nashangaa mwanamume mbunge aliyechaguliwa katika eneo lake kama mwakilishi asimame ndani ya bunge la wananchi aseme ya kuwa tuasema tutaka kesi. Aisha Juma ni mwanamke bwana. Ni wewe kumprotect Aisha Juma, si wewe kumkashifu Aisha Juma. Mimi chama hichi kana Mwenyezi Mungu wajua, Mwenyezi Mungu atakiporomosha sana chama. Sina haja nacho tukisikia. Maana si chama cha kuleta watu mahali pamoja.
Na katika uchaguzi wa Agosti mwaka huu, idadi ya wanawake ambao waliweza kuchaguliwa katika nyadhifa mbalimbali za uongozi, ima katika ugavana, ubunge, useneta na vile vile uwakilishi wadi na uwakilishi wa wanawake nchini Kenya iliweza kuongezeka. Lakini je, nini ajenda ya wanawake katika swala zima la uongozi nchini Kenya? Tuliweza kusema na kinara wa chama ya mapatano ambaye anafahamika kama Damaris hapo awali, na kuweza kuzungumzia swala zima la ajenda ya wanawake katika uongozi nchini Kenya. Hebu tazama mahojiano haya. Ni mwanasiasa ambaye anatokea hapa Nairobi, Kenya, na pia ndiye mwanzilishi wa chama ya mapatano, na kando na hilo pia yeye ni mwanzilishi wa Rahab Foundation. Karibu sana Damaristo, welcome to Mwanzo TV.
Asante sana.
Is that the best introduction?
No, yes, that is actually the best introduction, except that you forget I'm married and I have children.
Okay,
yes.
Now let's start by you clarifying to our viewers.
Yes.
Why is it chama ya mapatano and not chama cha mapatano?
I know Swahili actually it should be chama cha mapatano. However, when you go and register a political party in ORPP, there's the symbol bit that you're asked. So when we went to check chama ya mapatano, there's already CCM, which was run by Ruto, former governor of Bomet County. So you cannot register as chama cha. So the initials is what made us think of chama ya mapatano. However, we're in the process of reviewing the name, because it was quite, we needed to beat the timelines for the elections last year. So we're in the process of reviewing. And I think so far we found, and I think we should be unveiling the new name that will have good Swahili words. Yeah.
Now, you left KANU after some time of being a loyal party member.
Yes.
Why is that, and how did the other members of KANU take your move?
Yeah, KANU, everybody was in KANU. Ni chama cha baba na mama. Everybody, including the current president, was in KANU at some point. But I guess as life goes, you need growth. And I wasn't growing in Kenya. Why wasn't I growing? Is because we had leaders who were there during Kenyatta, during Moi, during Kibaki, and during Kenyatta, and during our time. So it was very hard for us to grow together. There was no that growth. So all these women that were there before were still there, and they believed it was their own party. It is them who were holding it. So that's when I decided, you know what, since I'm not growing, I decided to seek his blessings. I went to the chairman, I sought his blessings, he gave me his blessings, and that's the goodness with him. He makes you grow. So he accepted, and I moved out of KANU.
This year, 2022, you were the only female, the only woman who declared interest in vying for the presidency.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, I come from Rift Valley. My mom and my father are all in Rift Valley. They are quite, we have quite a following in Rift Valley in terms of my mom comes from a political family, and my dad is a relative of the current president. So what happened is people went home to see my parents, and where I come from, you have to obey your parents, you have to obey the elders. So when a delegation went to see my parents and said, we already have someone from the family vying, and we already have someone who has been there right from the beginning, and he's going to vie. So why are we having two family members? And also, why are we having two people from the same region? Because actually we are neighbors back at home in Nandi. And so my parents sat me down and they said, you know what, you have the advantage of time, which is true. I'm not yet 40. So we have the advantage of time in terms of I have like 30 more elections to 30 more years, or rather 6 more elections to go to where these people are right now. So that is why we stepped down.
And that was, in fact, that was my next question. I wanted to ask you about your experience after declaring your interest in vying for the presidency, bearing in mind that you come from the same region with the current president, and also you being
It wasn't easy, to be very honest. It was not easy. People called me all sorts of names. There are people who called me betrayer. I remember one of my uncles calling me Mtukutu. He called me a betrayer. One of my uncles was very, a supporter of William so much, and he called me all sorts of names, and it made sense. It was very painful for them, especially that we are relatives, and it was very painful that I just decided to go against the grain. But what I liked about the current president is he was very particular and clear. He didn't fight me. Ideally, if you know William, you would ideally think he would have fought me. He would have even called me names, or he would have rallied, against me. But no, he was very supportive. He let me be, he let me grow, he let me flourish, and he said that. And so far, she's the youngest party leader in the country. So we let her grow. The only thing is we need to guide her. And that's when now I got people who were guiding me in the path. And so it wasn't easy, to be very honest. I looked like a betrayer. I looked like I wasn't listening. I looked like I was just ambitious, over-ambitious, all the names. But we thank God, because when you sit under the feet of older people, you get wisdom. And that's what I decided, you know what, let me just actually sit down. And since I have the advantage of time, I will sit down and support him.
So you're still young. Are we going to see you maybe forming, working together with the president in the future, in terms of maybe collapsing your party?
No way. I can't collapse our party. The thing is, it's interesting. People have been collapsing their party. I've seen a few people collapsing their parties to join UDA. We haven't had a meeting with the president so far. I haven't had him. And we're still giving him time to form his. We want to see how he forms his government. So far, we have formed an association as women, whereby we want to make sure that things are coming up together. And what am I saying? What I'm saying is, I haven't had a sitting with him to know what he wants with me, or how he wants me to be supportive of his government. For sure, we are supporting his government. It would be very stupid for anyone not to support William Samoei Ruto. So we're going to support him. We're going to give him all the maximum support he needs. We're going to hold him, we're going to pray for him, and we're going to guide him as well. But in terms of folding in the party, no, I don't think that is in the pipeline.
Let's talk about the current government under the presidency of William Ruto.
Yeah.
Do you see women having more chances of, in terms of ascending powers under the current government?
To be honest, I called on him last week with a press release that we had, and we said he needs to keep up to his promises. He promised 50-50 in the cabinet. We didn't see that. However, we've seen it in the cabinet. However, he also promised that maybe now he's still forming the government, so I'm sure maybe he will put more in the CS or PSS, or maybe he will put them more in other directors, because he's still forming his government. So what I'm telling people is, let's be a little bit patient with him, because I think he's going to do what he promised to do. And he's a supporter of women. I think from what we have seen is he's a supporter of women. Personally, I would say he's a supporter of women, because he hasn't fought me. If he had fought me, then I would have said, anyway, this man doesn't support women. But so far, so good.
The implementation of the two-thirds agenda in Kenya has faced a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Do you think the government and the legislators in Kenya have the goodwill of maybe implementing?
No, I don't think they do. They're just selfish. Let me put it that way. These people are so selfish. If they had the goodwill, trust you me, in the last parliament they would have done it. But you remember, during that time, the day of voting, half of them were not in there to vote. They left. Some went out of the country. And most of them were women who left, actually. So I don't think they have the goodwill. But considering we have a head of state who is so pro two-thirds gender for the women, especially, to come in, I think if he pushes his own people, because he has the numbers in parliament, most probably this time round it will work out. What I'm not sure is, we've already done elections, we've already done the nominations. How is it going to be implemented? Are we going to go back to the political parties' nomination rules, or are we going to just nominate leaders? There's a gray area in constitution about that. So I don't know whether it will work for 2027 or 2022, because so far, right now as we speak, the parliament has already been happened, because we have the parliamentarians. So I don't know whether, if it passes, are we going to go back to the nomination lists that were there in the ORPP before then, the elections, or are we going to implement it in 2027, or which criteria are they going to use to fill up the two-thirds gender? Because there's that gray area in the constitution.
And then, what are some of the challenges that you think women face in terms of ascending leadership?
There's a lot. Let me tell you, my dear, there's a lot. First is the financial capability. Women haven't had that good financial capability. Being a woman, most of them have not had that muscle to pull it through, unless you really have a lot of money. The second thing is the sexual favors. what I would call relationship, sexual appeal. And there are some men who would think just because you're a woman, the quickest and the easiest thing is the sexual appeal. So I'm not going to help you if you're not sleeping with me, or if you're my girlfriend and all that. And we needed to change that. Some of us needed to rise up so that we can show them that, honestly speaking, you as a woman, you can rise without getting these favors from men. You as a woman, you can come out and speak without being judged as one of those women. Before, we've seen situations where when a woman tries to rise, all sorts of names are given to the person. So there's also the name calling. We've had a lot of name calling with the women, which is not good. And you know what shocked me actually is when a woman rises, the people who bring her down are the men. Most of them is the men. We come up and we want to rise, and then there's also the cultural aspect where we believe a woman should not lead, or where we believe a woman who's single cannot get married. We had an incident where the current president, when he was campaigning, he forgot that Charity Ngilu was a widow. She was not a single woman, she's a widow. She lost her husband, but he mentioned and said, this single lady. So for us, that single tag, you remember where Anne Waiguru had to get married, Susan Kihika had to get married. It's the society. We've seen in a case where the current Meru governor had to elevate the husband with a position, even though he's not earning any salary, is so that the Meru culture is very clear in terms of women leadership. So there are those men who cannot by any means go and see a woman. So they'd rather go through the husband. So it was easier to elevate the husband into a level of leadership so that those people in Meru can easily find a way of elevating. So there's also that challenge of being a single woman in the society. But who said I should be judged whether I'm single, whether I'm married, whether I have children, whether I have no children? We've seen not Millicent, what's her name? Millie Odhiambo being accused that she doesn't have child. Who has ever made a child apart from God? It's God who decides who has a child and who doesn't have a child. So does it mean her leaderships are not good because she didn't have a child? We have Rachel Mamo. She's been a very good ambassador. She's been a very good CS. She's been one of the best expatriates we have. And she doesn't have a child, but does her leadership? No, she's led defense, she's led foreign affairs, she's led ambassadorial positions, and she has succeeded. So it shouldn't be like because you don't have children, because who gives children? No one has ever manufactured a child. So these are some of the things that we should just leave them behind and look at a woman as what are her leadership skills.
Looking at the statistics about 2022 general elections in Kenya, 7 female governors, 30 female MPs, and 3 female senators. First, is that something to smile about?
So far, yes, because honestly speaking, we've come from far. To even have those kind of governors, before we didn't have any governor. Now we had 3. Then we've moved to 7. Trust you me, in the next 2027, we will move to 15. When 2032 comes, it is the men now who will be the 2/3 gender. By God's grace, yes.
And now, apart from the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule,
yes,
what should the government of Kenya do to make sure that it increases the number of female leaders, female in the political opposition, so that numbers like 7 female governors
can go up? Yeah. It's first, we are in the right track. The president is on the right track, and women are now awake. We are not like before. I mean, we have 5 political party leaders in this country out of 82 parties, which is still wanting, but we are rising. We are rising because, honestly speaking, we are coming from far. So I know for sure if the president puts his foot down and that thing will be implemented, we will see more leaders. And then for us as women who've gone ahead, like empowerment, we make sure that we empower the other women. If a woman wants to rise, for example, in my party, if you're a woman, we don't even give you a certificate with any fee. You run to us, it's free, because we want as many women as possible. One of the reasons we launched the party was so that we can have women and the youth come and run into the party in PWD. If you look at parties, the oldest we had, until even at the registrar of political parties, they were a bit concerned because we were young. We were all young. I said, this was one of the reasons. So we only have 2 or 3 leadership on top that are very old. Old meaning 54, 55. There are only 2 or 3. The rest are all young. They are all young, and we needed their wisdom. So we have to empower, really do a lot of empowering and a lot of mentorship for the young ones who want to come in.
Now, you are the founder of Rahab Foundation, and this week the world celebrated the International Day for the Girl Child.
Yes.
What are some of the, or rather, where do you place Kenya in terms of fighting for the rights of the girl child?
We are still far. We are still very far. By the time we still have pads, sanitary towels, and they are sold. You see, I was saying they should have you see, when you go to bars or hotels or something, you see, find condoms are free. You see, condoms is a conscious decision to have sex. It's a conscious, you make a decision to go and have sex. Pads is a natural, and also there are another 2 years of raising this child. So there's a lot of challenges when they